You proceed for this question. In the given data, you can find 5 jobs. So, prepare a table for 5 jobs. Since we have 5 jobs, you can have 5 slots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the left hand side, you can keep M1. In the right hand side, you can keep M2. As you know, Johnson's algorithm uses only shortest processing time. So, in the given values, what is the shortest processing time? 1. That is second job on M1 side. So, keep second job in M1 side, and after that you can delete this. Next minimum is 2, that is job 1 machine 2 side. 1 you can keep in machine 2 side and delete this one. Next minimum is 3, that is job 4 M1 side, delete this. Next minimum is 4, that is job 5 and machine 2 side. Only one job left over, that is 3. 2, 4, 3, 5, 1. So, where you find 2, 4, 3, 5, 1. 2, 4, 3, 5, 1. Answer is option D. Next question. In a manufacturing company, the fixed cost is estimated as 3 lakhs. So, fixed cost is equal to 3 lakhs. Manufacturing cost means variable cost, that is how much he has given, 40 rupees per unit. Selling price 70, SP is equal to 70 per unit. The break even value, so coming to break even value, Q star is equal to, directly we can use the formula FC divided by SP minus VC. Suppose if you forget this formula, then you can use total cost is equal to total revenue. Substitute the values, 3 lakhs divided by 70 minus 40, it is equal to 3 lakhs divided by 30. So, how much it is? 10,000 units. Answer is 10,000 units. Option C. Next question. In exponential smoothing method, alpha is equal to A divided by n plus B. As per the exponential smoothing, alpha is equal to 2 divided by n plus 1. This is a standard formula. A value 2, B value 1. So, then the question is A plus B. A plus B how much? 2 plus 1, 3. Answer is 3. Option C. Next question, ABC classification. ABC classification is based on annual usage value as per the given options. Economic order quantity, minimum inventory carrying cost, quantity of metal used. So, what is the right answer here? Option A. Monetary value of different items used annually. So, answer is option A. So, next part will be handled by my friend Mr. Dharan.
Let's see the solutions of machine design. So, here see this question. At a point in a steel member, the major principal stress is 2000 kg per centimeter square and the minor principal stress is compressive. Here it is given that sigma minor value is given as compressive. If the uniaxial yield stress, this is the value of SYT, SYT is given as 2500, then the magnitude of the minor principal stress at which the yielding will commence according to maximum shear stress theory is. Here we can notice that according to maximum shear stress theory, the condition that we have for design is sigma max, which represents the right extreme value of principal stress minus sigma minimum, which is the left extreme value of principal stress. This is lesser than or equal to SYT. Now here what is he asking? According to the magnitude of minor principal stress is asked. Now here if I substitute sigma maximum as 2000 minus sigma minimum is lesser than or equal to, what is SYT given here? SYT is 2500. Now here, so please say me what could be the value of sigma minimum here? So if 2000 goes to that side, so sigma minimum value is lesser than or equal to minus 500 megapascal. So here we can notice the answer as D. Okay. Moving ahead, going to the next equation, the principal stresses at a point in an elastic material or, so here he has given three principal stresses, so whose magnitude is 1.5 times sigma and then sigma and sigma by 2, which is compressive in nature. If the elastic limit in simple tension is given as 2000 kg per centimeter square and the Poisson's ratio is given, the value of sigma, so at failure would be, so here he is asking us to identify the value of sigma here. Let's find the value of sigma. So here we can notice that the value of sigma is given as how much here? So it is given as at failure, it is coming out to be 1000. Now here there are few theories which are mentioned. According to maximum principal stress theory, we need to consider sigma maximum, which is 1.5 times sigma. So which is, so obviously here this has to be lesser than or equal to 2000. Now here from this we can see that sigma value is not going to be 1000. Okay, it is 2000 divided by 1.5. If that is divided by 2, we get the value as 1000. So here it is not the answer. Now according to maximum shear stress theory, let's see whether we can get the same thing or not. According to maximum shear stress theory, it is right extreme value minus left extreme value, which is 1.5 times minus of 0.5. So this becomes plus sigma, this is lesser than or equal to, SYT value is given as 2000. Now here from this we can get the value of sigma as 1000. So here the unit is given as kg per centimeter square. Okay, so here the value of sigma is 1000 is according to maximum shear stress theory. Moving ahead, now let's see, let's match list 1 with list 2. So deep groove ball bearing, here this is generally used for high speed applications. So A goes with the 3. We have two options here, A and B. Spherical roller bearing, so here it is 3 and spherical roller bearing is generally used for self alignment, 3, 2, and tapered roller bearing generally takes heavy loads, it is 1, and finally thrust ball bearing is 4. So 3, 2, 1, 4 is there in first option, the answer is A. Now here he has given a question on clutches. So in multi-disc clutch there are 7 discs on the driving shaft and we have 6 discs on the driven shaft. Then he is asking us to identify the number of contacts here. The number of contacts is always 1 less than the total number of plates. As the total number of plates here are 7 plus 6 minus 1, this is going to give us a value of 12. So here the total number of contacting surfaces are 12. Now the next equation is on the bearings. So consider the following statements. The load carrying capacity of hydrostatic bearing is linearly proportional to speed. Now this is a wrong statement as it is independent of speed. This is a wrong statement. The load carrying capacity of hydrodynamic bearing is independent of speed. No, this is dependent on speed. So here both these statements are wrong. So an ordinary bolt is converted to bolt of uniform strength. So here he has said, we know that it is converted by reducing the shank diameter and drilling a hole along the length in the shank, and here he has mentioned a third option here, increasing the stress in the shank. He didn't specify the method here, but somehow by doing these two processes we are increasing the stresses in the shank. So I can say that the answer here is 1, 2 and 3. So these are the solutions for the questions from machine design. So and Keshav Reddy sir will deal the solutions from strength of mills. Thank you.
హాయ్ స్టూడెంట్స్, ఎగ్జామ్ ఎలా రాశారు? ఇంజనీరింగ్ మెకానిక్స్ గురించి చెప్దాం. ఫస్ట్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ మెకానిక్స్ 2 క్వశ్చన్లు పడ్డాయి. ఒకటి చూడండి, ఈక్వేషన్ ఆఫ్ మోషన్ కుడ్ బి రిటన్ యాజ్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం ఈక్వేషన్స్ సింప్లీ బై ఇంట్రడ్యూసింగ్ ఇనర్షియా ఫోర్స్. ఈక్విలిబ్రియం ఈక్వేషన్లో ఇనర్షియా ఫోర్స్ అప్లై చేస్తే సిగ్మా ఎఫ్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు ఎంఏ. దీన్ని ఏమంటాం? డీఆలంబర్ట్స్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ అంటాం. అంటే జనరలైజ్డ్ న్యూటన్ సెకండ్ లా ఈజ్ కాల్డ్ డీఆలంబర్ట్స్ ప్రిన్సిపల్. సిగ్మా ఫోర్సెస్ ఇన్ ద డైరెక్షన్ ఆఫ్ మోషన్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు మాస్ ఇంటూ యాక్సిలరేషన్. సింపుల్ క్వశ్చన్. నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ చూడండి. ఈ క్వశ్చన్లో మనము ప్రాసెస్ ఆఫ్ ఎలిమినేషన్ తోటి స్కేలర్ను పట్టుకోవాలి, అంతేనా? యాక్సిలరేషన్ చిన్నప్పుడు తెలుసు, యాక్సిలరేషన్ ఈజ్ వెక్టర్, వెలాసిటీ కూడా వెక్టర్, నెక్స్ట్ యాంగులర్ మొమెంటం కూడా వెక్టర్. ఇంకా పోతే మిగిలింది ఇనర్షియా. ఇనర్షియా అంటే మనకు ఇనర్షియా ఎక్కువ ఉంది అంటే అర్థం ఏంటి? మాస్ ఎక్కువ ఉన్నట్టు. మాస్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఏ వెక్టర్ క్వాంటిటీ, ఇట్ ఇస్ ఎ స్కేలార్ క్వాంటిటీ. సో ద ఓన్లీ స్కేలార్ అవైలబుల్ ఈజ్ మూమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇనర్షియా. హియర్ ప్రాసెస్ ఆఫ్ ఎలిమినేషన్ వాడుకోండి. నెక్స్ట్ స్ట్రెంగ్త్ ఆఫ్ మెటీరియల్కి వెళ్దాం. స్ట్రెంగ్త్ ఆఫ్ మెటీరియల్లో కొద్దిగా ఎక్కువ క్వశ్చన్లే పడ్డాయి. చూడండి, ఏ స్ట్రక్చరల్ మెంబర్ సబ్జెక్టెడ్ టు యాక్సియల్ కంప్రెషన్ అట. యాక్సియల్ కంప్రెషన్ మెంబర్ను స్ట్రట్ అంటాం కదా, యాక్సియల్ టెన్షన్ మెంబర్ను టై అంటాము. టై లేనే లేదు. సో యాక్సియల్ కంప్రెషన్ మెంబర్ ఈజ్ కాల్డ్ స్ట్రట్. కాలం కూడా యాక్సియల్ కంప్రెషన్ మెంబరే ఇఫ్ ద లోడ్ ఈజ్ అప్లైడ్ త్రూ ద యాక్సిస్. కానీ కాలంలో ఎక్సెంట్రిసిటీ వచ్చే అవకాశం ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి ఇఫ్ ఎక్సెంట్రిసిటీ ఈజ్ దేర్ ఇన్ కాలం ఇట్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఏ ప్యూర్ కంప్రెషన్ మెంబర్. కాబట్టి మోస్ట్ అప్రాప్రియేట్ ఆన్సర్ ఈజ్ స్ట్రట్, కాలం కాదు. నెక్స్ట్ చూడండి, ఇన్ ఎ థిన్ లాంగ్ క్లోజ్డ్ సిలిండర్, అంటే సిలిండర్ ఎండ్స్ క్లోజ్ చేసాము, ద ఫ్లూయిడ్ ప్రెజర్ ఇండ్యూసెస్. ఫ్లూయిడ్ ప్రెజర్ వల్ల మనకు ఎలాంటివి వస్తాయి? ఓన్లీ హూప్ స్ట్రెస్ తప్పు, ఎందుకంటే హూప్ స్ట్రెస్తో పాటు లాంజిట్యూడినల్ స్ట్రెస్ కూడా వస్తుంది. ఓన్లీ లాంజిట్యూడినల్, ఇది కూడా తప్పు, ఓన్లీ ఉండడం వల్ల తప్పు. నెక్స్ట్ లాంజిట్యూడినల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఈక్వల్ టు ట్వైస్ ద హూప్ స్ట్రెస్, ఇది అస్సలు తప్పు. యాక్చువల్లీ ఇంకా మిగిలిపోయిన ఆన్సర్ ఏది ఉంటుంది? ఆప్షన్ డి ఉంటుంది కంపల్సరీ. చూద్దాం. లాంజిట్యూడినల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఈక్వల్ టు హాఫ్ ద హూప్ స్ట్రెస్, అంతేనా? లాంజిట్యూడినల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు hoop stress by 2. PD by 2T is hoop stress, PD by 4T is longitudinal stress. మన థియరీ క్వశ్చన్స్ అన్ని ప్రాసెస్ ఆఫ్ ఎలిమినేషన్ తోటే ఆన్సర్ చేయాలి. ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, విచ్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ది ఫాలోయింగ్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఈజ్ కరెక్ట్. కరెక్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ కావాలట. ఇఫ్ ఎ మెటీరియల్ ఎక్స్పాండ్స్ ఫ్రీలీ డ్యూ టు హీటింగ్, మెటీరియల్ ఏంటి? ఫ్రీగా ఎక్స్పాండ్ అవుతోంది, ఇట్ విల్ డెవలప్ థర్మల్ స్ట్రెస్. ఏ మెంబర్ ఫ్రీ టు ఎక్స్పాండ్ ఆర్ ఫ్రీ టు కాంట్రాక్ట్, అసలు స్ట్రెస్లే ఉండవు. ఇది మన చాలా బేసిక్ క్వశ్చన్. ఫస్ట్ చాప్టర్లో టెంపరేచర్ స్ట్రెస్సెస్లో డైరెక్ట్గా స్టార్టింగ్ ఇదే వాడతాం. సో ఎనీ మెంబర్ ఫ్రీ టు ఎక్స్పాండ్, ఫ్రీ టు కాంట్రాక్ట్, స్ట్రెస్లు అస్సలు ఉండవు. ఆప్షన్ డి. నెక్స్ట్ చూడండి, రెసిలియన్స్ ఆఫ్ స్టీల్ కెన్ బి ఫౌండ్ బై ఇంటిగ్రేటింగ్ స్ట్రెస్ స్ట్రెయిన్ కర్వ్ అప్ టు. నాట్ ఓన్లీ స్టీల్, ఎనీ డక్టైల్ మెటీరియల్. రెసిలియన్స్ అంటే ద ఏరియా అండర్ ది స్ట్రెస్ స్ట్రెయిన్ కర్వ్ అప్ టు యాక్చువల్గా ప్రపోర్షనాలిటీ లిమిట్. ఇక్కడ ప్రపోర్షనాలిటీ లిమిట్ అనే ఆన్సరే లేదు కాబట్టి కొద్దిగా ముందుకెళ్తే ఎలాస్టిక్ లిమిట్. సో రెసిలియన్స్ ఈజ్ అప్ టు ఎలాస్టిక్ లిమిట్, మోస్ట్ అప్రాప్రియేట్లీ కరెక్ట్ ఆన్సర్. నెక్స్ట్ చూద్దాం. On a plane, resultant stress is inclined at an angle of 45 degrees to the plane. If the normal stress is 100 Newton per mm square, shear stress on the plane is, అంటే ఒక ప్లేన్ పైన resultant stress is at an inclination of, on this plane we have two stresses, one is normal, one is ఇది నార్మల్ స్ట్రెస్, ఇంకోటి షియర్ స్ట్రెస్. కానీ రిజల్టెంట్ స్ట్రెస్ అనేది 45 degrees తోటి ఇంక్లైన్ అయినది. కానీ నార్మల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఆన్ ద ప్లేన్ ఈజ్ 100. నార్మల్ స్ట్రెస్ 100 మెగాపాస్కల్. షియర్ ఏమవుతుంది? సో సిగ్మా ఆర్ ఇజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు సిగ్మా కాస్ 45 కదా. అలానే ఇజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు టౌ, ఇది కూడా 45 అవుతుంది కదా, కాస్ 45 ఆర్ సైన్ 45. సో ఇన్ దిస్ కేస్ యూ కెన్ సే సిగ్మా ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు టౌ. ఈ సిగ్మా ఈజ్ 100 మెగాపాస్కల్, టౌ కూడా 100 మెగాపాస్కలే ఉండాలి, తప్పదు. సో ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ ఎక్కడ ఇక్కడ. ఆన్సర్ ఈజ్ ఆప్షన్ బి. సో ఆన్సర్ ఈజ్ ఏ సింపుల్ క్వశ్చన్. నెక్స్ట్, ఒక సాలిడ్ షాఫ్ట్ అట రొటేటింగ్ అట్ 180 RPM ఈ సబ్జెక్టెడ్ టు ఏ మీన్ టార్క్ ఆఫ్ 5000 Newton meter. వాట్ ఇస్ ద పవర్ ట్రాన్స్మిటెడ్? కిలోవాట్లో అడుగుతున్నాడు. పవర్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు 2π/NT/60. సింప్లిఫికేషన్ మీరే చేయాలి. ఆన్సర్ పైలో అడిగాడు కాబట్టి మనకు పెద్ద ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. ఎన్ 180 RPM, టీ 5000/60. ఓకేనా? సింప్లిఫై చేసుకోండి. 3నా? సో 3 × 2 6, 5 30. 1 2 3. ఇది వాట్, నథింగ్ బట్ 30 పై కిలోవాట్. ఇక్కడ కూడా పై ఉంది, ఈ పైన కూడా పై ఉంది. ఆన్సర్ ఈజ్ ఆప్షన్ డి. కేర్ఫుల్గా ఉండాలి, సింప్లిఫికేషన్లో కొద్దిగా కేర్ఫుల్గా ఉండాలి. నెక్స్ట్ చూడండి, ఏ స్టీల్ కేబుల్ ఆఫ్ 2 cm డయా ఈజ్ యూస్ టు లిఫ్ట్ ఎ లోడ్ ఆఫ్ 500 kg. యంగ్స్ మాడ్యులస్ ఇచ్చేశాడు, ద లెంత్ ఆఫ్ ది కేబుల్ కూడా ఇచ్చేశాడు, ఎలాంగేషన్ ఆఫ్ ది కేబుల్ అడుగుతున్నాడు, డెల్టా ఎల్ అడుగుతున్నాడు, PL/AE కదా. అన్నీ సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేసి పైతోటి ఇచ్చాడు కాబట్టి మనకు ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. 500 పై లోడు, లెంత్ అన్నీ ఆన్సర్ సెంటీమీటర్లో ఉంది కదా, లెంత్ను కూడా సెంటీమీటర్లో మార్చుకోండి. 10 × 100 సెంటీమీటర్. ఏరియా 2 cm డయా అన్నాడు, π/4 × 2². యంగ్స్ మాడ్యులస్ 2 × 10⁻⁶. లోడ్ పైలో ఎందుకు ఇచ్చాడంటే క్యాన్సిల్ అవ్వడానికి ఈజీగా ఉండేలాగా ఇచ్చాడు. సో 4, 2 × 2 4. నెక్స్ట్ 2 5. సో ఇఫ్ యూ సింప్లిఫై ఇట్ ఈస్ 0.25 cm. ఓకేనా? 0.25 cm చూసుకోండి ఒకసారి. కమింగ్ టు ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. సో ఆన్సర్ ఈజ్ ఆప్షన్ బి. కమింగ్ టు ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్, the normal stress, if the normal cross section A of a member is subjected to a tensile force. అంటే క్రాస్ సెక్షన్ పైన, అంటే ఇక్కడ ఉన్న క్రాస్ సెక్షన్ పైన యు ఆర్ అప్లయింగ్ ఎ టెన్సైల్ ఫోర్స్ ఆఫ్ P. ద రిజల్టింగ్ నార్మల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఆన్ అన్ ఆబ్లిక్ ప్లేన్ ఇంక్లైన్డ్ అట్ అన్ యాంగిల్ ఆఫ్ θ టు ద ట్రాన్స్వర్స్ ప్లేన్. అంటే ఇది మన మెంబర్ ఈజ్ సబ్జెక్టెడ్ టు ఏ ఫోర్స్ ఆఫ్ P. ఐ హ్యావ్ ఎ ట్రాన్స్వర్స్ ప్లేన్ మేకింగ్ అన్ యాంగిల్ ఆఫ్ θ with the transverse plane. అంటే transverse plane is vertical, with vertical the inclined plane is making an angle of θ. సో ఏమడుగుతున్నాడు? ద రిజల్టింగ్ నార్మల్ స్ట్రెస్ అడుగుతున్నాడు. ఈ ఇంక్లైన్డ్ ప్లేన్ పైన ఉన్న నార్మల్ స్ట్రెస్ అడుగుతున్నాడు. సో నార్మల్ స్ట్రెస్ ఆన్ ఎనీ ఇంక్లైన్డ్ ప్లేన్ మనకు తెలుసు, సిగ్మా θ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు సిగ్మా x/2 సిగ్మా y 0 కాబట్టి, అండ్ సిగ్మా x ప్లస్ సిగ్మా y/2 సిగ్మా y 0, సిగ్మా x మైనస్ సిగ్మా y/2 కాస్ 2θ అండ్ షియర్ 0. ఇప్పుడు సిగ్మా x ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ P/A రాసుకుందాం. P/2A రాసుకుందాం. 1 ప్లస్ కాస్ 2θ, 1 ప్లస్ కాస్ 2 తీటా బై 2 ఏమవుతుంది? పి బై ఏ 1 ప్లస్ కాస్ 2 తీటా బై 2 ఈజ్ కాస్ స్క్వేర్ తీటా. చూడండి ఏదైనా ఆప్షన్ మ్యాచ్ అవుతుందేమో గమనించండి. పి బై ఏ కాస్ స్క్వేర్ తీటా. ఎస్, ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ ఆప్షన్ బి. నెక్స్ట్ 2 బీమ్స్, 2 బీమ్లట, ఏ అండ్ బి అంటున్నాడు. సింప్లీ సపోర్టెడ్ అండ్ సబ్జెక్టెడ్ టు ఐడెంటికల్ లోడ్స్. 2 బీమ్స్ పైన సేమ్ లోడ్ ఉంది. 2 బీమ్స్ హ్యావ్ సేమ్ విడ్త్ బట్ బీమ్ ఏ హ్యాస్ డబల్ ద డెప్త్ ఆఫ్ దట్ ఆఫ్ బి. ద రేషియో ఆఫ్ సెక్షన్ మాడ్యులస్ ఆఫ్ బీమ్ ఏ అండ్ బీమ్ బి. సెక్షన్ మాడ్యులస్ రేషియో అడుగుతున్నాడు. జెడ్ ఏ అండ్ జెడ్ బి అడుగుతున్నాడు. సెక్షన్ మాడ్యులస్ ఇస్ బీడీ స్క్వేర్ కదా, రెండిట్లోనూ సేమ్ విడుతుంది. అండ్ బీమ్ ఏ హ్యాస్ డబల్ ది డెప్త్ ఆఫ్ బీమ్ బి. డబల్ ది డెప్త్ బీడీ స్క్వేర్ బై 6 డివైడెడ్ బై బీడీ స్క్వేర్ బై 6. సో మనము సింప్లిఫై చేస్తే బి క్యాన్సిల్ అవుతుంది, డి క్యాన్సిల్ అవుతుంది, అన్నీ క్యాన్సిల్ అవుతాయి. 2 స్క్వేర్ మిగులుతుంది అంటే 4. 4 ఆప్షన్ ఎక్కడైనా కనిపిస్తుందా? ఎస్, కనిపించింది. ఆప్షన్ సి. ఏ సింపుల్ క్వశ్చన్, కానీ సింప్లిఫికేషన్ కొద్దిగా జాగ్రత్తగా చూసి చదివి చేసుకోవాలి. ద ఆల్జీబ్రిక్ సమ్ ఆఫ్ మూమెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ 2 అన్లైక్ parallel forces about any point in their plane will be, say 2 parallel forces at a, say this is P and this is also P, unlike అంటున్నాడు, ఒకటి రైట్కు ఒకటి లెఫ్ట్కు, separated by a distance d. సో మూమెంట్ కాజ్డ్ బై దిస్ ప్యారలల్ ఫోర్సెస్ అబౌట్ ఎనీ పాయింట్. మీరు మూమెంట్ ఇక్కడ తీసుకుంటే ఏమవుతుంది? P ఇంటూ డి అవుతుంది. మూమెంట్ ఇక్కడ తీసుకుంటే ఈపీ ఇంటూ డి అవుతుంది. మూమెంట్ మధ్యలో తీసుకుంటే P ఇంటూ డి బై 2, P ఇంటూ డి బై 2 అవుతుంది. అంటే మీరు ఎక్కడ మూమెంట్ తీసుకున్నా కూడా ద మూమెంట్ విల్ బీ కాన్స్టెంట్ బికాజ్ ఆఫ్ 2 ఈక్వల్ ఫోర్సెస్ ఆఫ్ సేమ్ మ్యాగ్నిట్యూడ్ ఆపోజిట్ ఇన్ నేచర్. ఓకే ఓకే ఓకే, ఆల్వేస్ కాన్స్టెంట్. నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ లేదు. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ది క్వశ్చన్స్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రెంత్ ఆఫ్ మెటీరియల్. Madhushekar, Professor Madhushekar will take over for material science. Thank you.
రైట్. సో మనం ఇప్పుడు మెటీరియల్ సైన్స్లో నుంచి క్వశ్చన్ చూద్దామండి. సో ఈ క్వశ్చన్ వచ్చేసి మనకు కాంపోజిట్ మెటీరియల్ నుంచి. సో ఈ క్వశ్చన్ వచ్చేసి కాంపోజిట్ మెటీరియల్ కార్బన్ ఫైబర్ రెయిన్ఫోర్స్డ్ కాంపోజిట్ గురించి 3 స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఇచ్చినాడు ఇక్కడ. సో ఏ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ కరెక్ట్ అని అడుగుతున్నాడు. సో హియర్ దీస్ హ్యావ్ ద హైయెస్ట్ స్పెసిఫిక్ మాడ్యులస్ అండ్ స్పెసిఫిక్ స్ట్రెంగ్త్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ రెయిన్ఫోర్సింగ్ ఫైబర్ మెటీరియల్స్. ఓకే, ఈ కార్బన్ ఫైబర్ రెయిన్ఫోర్స్డ్ పాలిమర్ మెటీరియల్లో కార్బన్ అనేది రెయిన్ఫోర్సింగ్ మెటీరియల్. ఇట్ హ్యాస్ వెరీ హై స్ట్రెంగ్త్, హై స్పెసిఫిక్ మాడ్యులస్, and they retain their high tensile modulus and high strength at elevated temperature. Yes, carbon fiber reinforced material will also work at a very high temperature. This is also correct. First one is correct. At room temperature, carbon fibers are not affected by moisture. Yes, this is also correct. They are not going to affect by moisture. even this material is much stronger than steel. So, all the statements are correct. So, 1, 2, 3, D is the correct option. The next question, mild steel fails in a pronounced cup cone fracture if the percentage of carbon in steel is increased. See, if percentage of carbon in steel increases, material will become more and more brittle. So, that cup cone shape is going to become shallower, more shallower. So, here out of 4 options, the depth of cup will become more shallower. So, first option is correct. Simple question andi. Percentage of carbon పెరిగితే మెటీరియల్ అనేది బ్రిటిల్నెస్ అనేది పెరుగుతుంది. సో, కప్ కోన్ షేప్ రావడం అనేది తగ్గుతుంది. నెక్స్ట్, which of the following simple heat treatment process involving a slow furnace cool? See, here the heat treatment process, that is a slow furnace cooling, only one process, that is annealing process. After austenizing, we are going with annealing process. Okay na? Annealing process. Process annealing is actually applied for cold working. So, here it is not given that word, that is why annealing process I am going. Now, next question vachesi, the copper has undergone deformation at a temperature of 700 degrees Celsius and cooled to room temperature. The ductility of component produced. See, the copper is undergone at 700 na, 700 is above recrystallization temperature. So, the copper is performed a deformation operation above recrystallization temperature. So, above recrystallization temperature, ductility will increase, the length of the component is also going to be increased here. So, the ductility of component is going to be increased because it is working at above recrystallization temperature. So, greater than the original material. Simple question. Now, another question, which of the following is the major alloying element in inconel? Inconel is a nickel alloy, some 80% of nickel, chromium, remaining elements also there. This inconel is metal is used in gas turbine blades. Okay na, 80% of nickel is used. So, major alloying element vachesi manaku nickel. The correct sequence of creep deformation in a creep curve in order of their elongation. See, creep curve is a deformation curve at a constant load with increasing time. So, by increasing the time of the behavior of the creep curve, we can divide this into 3 regions, region 1 and region 2 and region 3. Region 2 is a steady state, region 3 is accelerated region and region 1 is a transient region. So, transient, steady state and acceleration, right. So, here out of 4 options, B is the correct option manaku. Okay na, first stage vachesi transient state lo untadi, next vachesi steady state and finally accelerated state lo untadi. And next vachesi the critical cooling rate required for getting the complete martensitic structure in a steel depending on. See, complete martensitic steel depends on what, percentage of carbon. If I increase the percentage of carbon, martensite formation increases. If I decrease the percentage of carbon, martensite formation decreases. That is a very simple question. So, that depends on percentage of carbon, right. Now, I will discuss some of the production questions also here. The question here it is, freezing range of temperature of pure metal. See, first of all, range of temperature for a freezing range must be 0. Change in temperature at a freezing point is 0. So, it is a very simple question. So, A is the correct answer. Freezing range of temperature for a pure metal is 0. Now, for spot welding of 1 mm thick sheet with a current flow time of 0.2 seconds, the heat generation is 1000 joules. The effective resistance is 200 micro ohm. The current required. It is a very simple question. Heat generated Q is equal to I square RT. By using this equation, we should solve. Here what we should find? We should find the current. So, current is equal to Q by RT under root. By using this equation, you can solve here, right. So, Q is given 1000 joules, R is given 200 into 10 power minus 6, okay. R is given 200 into 10 power minus 6 because it is in micro ohm given, and time is given 0.2. This is under root. By solving this, you go through the calculation. By solving this, manaku vachesi option B వస్తుంది, 5000 amperes వస్తుంది. Okay na. Next vachesi, it's a metal cutting operation, orthogonal cutting, right. Here following condition, cutting speed ఇచ్చినాడు, కటింగ్ స్పీడ్ ఇచ్చినాడు, డెప్త్ ఆఫ్ కట్ ఇచ్చినాడు, చిప్ థిక్నెస్ రేషియో ఇచ్చినాడు, ఓకేనా. దెన్ చిప్ వెలాసిటీ, రైట్. చిప్ థిక్నెస్ రేషియో ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు T1 by T2, that is equal to Vf by Vc. By using this equation we should find, so chip velocity is equal to, okay, speed of a chip into T1 by T2. Here velocity is given 2 into T1 is given 0.5 and T2 is given 0.6. By solving this you will get 1.66. D is the answer. Very simple question this is also, right. Now here is a question, theoretical based question from non-traditional machining methods. Here the options give statements given. First statement vachesi electrolyte is used in electrochemical machining. Exactly, it is correct, because this electrolyte is used for current carrying purpose, and electrolyte is used in electrical discharge machining. This is absolutely wrong. Here we are using dielectric material, we are not using electrolyte, so this is wrong, right. And third one, in ultrasonic machining material is removed from a surface by microchipping and erosion. Exactly, this is also correct. So only statement 2 is correct, so D is the statement 2 is wrong, right. But in the question here it is given incorrect statements, be careful. Statement 2 is wrong, other 1 and 3 statements are correct, incorrect statements they are asking, so B is the correct answer, only 2, right. Next, the correct sequence in order to have a better accuracy and surface finish. See, very high, very good accuracy is actually we will go with the reaming operation, honing operation. This is the last one. Centering is the first one, okay. Centering, then drilling, then reaming, then boring, reaming and honing. So here first here centering, then drilling, okay, then boring, then reaming and finally honing. So 5 3 1 4 2, 5 3 1 4 2, C is the correct answer. Very simple, we remember honing is the operation of like a grinding operation to make very smooth surface finish, high accurate surface finish you will get by using honing operation. Now in indirect extrusion process at a high temperature, which of the following is used to avoid friction? To in direct extrusion, actually in a forward extrusion there is a container wall friction. To avoid that container wall friction, we are using molten glass as a lubricant to avoid the friction between the container wall and piston. So C is the correct answer. Lancing is the operation of, lancing is nothing but a sheet metal cutting and sheet metal forming, cutting the sheet metal and then bending or like deep drawing. So here suppose this is a sheet metal, so I am going to cut the sheet metal like this, then after that I am bending like this also, cutting and bending. So here if you go through the options now, the third option I think it is correct, because cutting a sheet of a metal through a part of its length and then bending the cutting portion. So sheet metal cutting and sheet metal bending, lancing operation. The maximum interference after assembly between a bush of size 30 plus or plus 0.06 plus 0.03 and shaft of size 30 plus 0.05 minus 0.06. See, maximum interference. See, what is the formula of maximum interference? Maximum interference is upper limit of shaft minus lower limit of hole. Upper limit of shaft minus lower limit of hole. So upper limit of shaft is this one and lower limit of hole is this one, right. So by using this upper limit of shaft minus lower limit of hole 0.05 minus lower limit of hole here 0.03, you will get 0.02. So A is the correct option, right. Very simple question. Next, the final question in production. In a CNC milling operation, circular arc of an part profile is being machined. CNC part programming using a metric units with an incremental dimension is listed below. So some quotes given here, okay. They are asking the coordinates of the center of the circular arc. Now see here, as per this the data here, as per this data x35 y60, x35 y60 we should take here, right. And here 40x and 40 here radius I am considering 40, okay. So this is the 40. So here you will get same 20, 35 and 20 you will get here. This is 30 and this y axis is 25. So radius you will get 50, 35 and 20. So this is the center of the coordinate. This radius is 40. So I will get from this 30 and 20. So these are the questions related to the production. Next organic factors we will continue.
Now let us discuss the questions from power plant engineering. First question చూడండి. The energy released during the fission of one atom of uranium 235 in millions electron volts is about approximately 200 million electron volts. అలాగే look at the next one. Two turbo generators each of capacity 25,000 kilowatts have been installed at a hydel power station. The load on the hydel power plant varies from 15,000 kilowatts to 40,000 kilowatts. The total installation plant capacity and the total load factor. Here total installation capacity, each turbine is generating 25,000 kilowatts, but two are installed, 2 into 25,000 is giving the total capacity, that is 50,000 kilowatts, and the load factor equal to average load dividing by maximum load. ఇక్కడ యావరేజ్ లోడ్ అంటే ఈ టూ వాల్యూస్కి యావరేజ్ తీసుకోండి. మ్యాక్సిమం లోడ్ మీన్స్ 40,000 అంటే ఇక్కడ 15,000 ప్లస్ 40,000 dividing by 2 is the average load, dividing by right maximum load 40,000. ఈ వాల్యూని మీరు సింప్లిఫై చేసుకుంటే మీకు ఎంత వస్తుందంటే అప్రాక్సిమేట్లీ 68.8% వస్తుంది. పర్సంటేజ్ కావాలంటే మీరు 100 చేత మల్టిప్లై చేయాల్సి వస్తుంది. సో ఆన్సర్ ఆప్షన్ బి ఈజ్ అబ్సల్యూట్లీ కరెక్ట్. ఓకే, అలాగే లుక్ ఎట్ ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్. కన్సిడర్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ రిగార్డింగ్ ద biogas production. Temperature inside the digester has strong influence over the quality of biogas produced. That is absolutely correct. Temperature inside the digester does not affect the quantity of biogas production. It is absolutely wrong. The temperature is influencing the quantity of biogas production. Option C, third statement, retention time of biomass in the digester affects the anaerobic digestion process. That is also absolutely correct. Fourth statement, retention time of biomass is decided according to the type of biomass. That is also absolutely correct. First statement, third statement, fourth statement correct. Which of the above statements are not correct? ఇక్కడ ఇన్కరెక్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ అనేది మన ఆప్షన్ కాబట్టి ఓన్లీ సెకండ్ స్టేట్మెంట్ రాంగ్ కాబట్టి లుక్ ఎట్ ద ఆప్షన్ సి. ఆప్షన్ సి ఈజ్ ద కరెక్ట్ ఆప్షన్. ఇక్కడ ఇన్కరెక్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఈజ్ అవర్ ఆప్షన్. ఓకేనా? అలాగే లుక్ ఎట్ ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్. ఫర్ ఎ సింపుల్ ఐడియల్ Rankine cycle, if the condenser pressure is lowered while the turbine inlet state is kept same, అంటే at the same state of the material at the inlet of the turbine, if the condenser pressure is decreasing, what will happen? If you take the TS diagram for the Rankine cycle, temperature versus entropy diagram, there is a saturation dome, there is a saturation dome. The steam is entering to the turbine at high pressure, that is equal to boiler pressure, and initially this may be the condenser pressure. If the condenser pressure is P2, the expansion is happening from 1 to 2. But if the condenser pressure is decreasing from P2 to P2 dash, what is happening? The expansion of the steam increases. Because of that, what is happening? The turbine work increases. Anyhow, because of the reduction in the condenser pressure, definitely the turbine work increases. The turbine work with condenser pressure P2 is H1 minus H2. The turbine work with P2 dash pressure is H1 minus H2 dash. Here H1 minus H2 dash is more than H1 minus H2. Therefore, turbine work increases due to decrease in condenser pressure. The turbine work output will increase. Option A is absolutely correct. Look at the second one. The amount of heat rejection does not decrease. The amount of heat rejection is decreasing. The efficiency will decrease. No, because of the decrease in condenser pressure, definitely efficiency increases. Third statement is wrong. The moisture content at turbine exit, actually the turbine exit, at the turbine exit moisture content is more. That's why the fourth statement is also wrong. Only option A is correct. Okay. Similarly, look at the next one. The rise in conductivity of boiler feed water indicates, drop in total dissolved solids, that is called TDS. Drop in total dissolved solids in boiler water, no. More steam generation, also no. The rise in total dissolved solids in boiler water, absolutely correct. The rise in conductivity of the boiler feed water indicates the rise in TDS value of the boiler feed water. So, option C is correct. Similarly, right, with this, no, power plant engineering completed. Now, look at the IC engines problems. Which one of the following factors affect the ignition timing of an internal combustion engine? Flywheel, no way. The flywheel is impacting the ignition timing. Cylinder material, no way. Type of fuel, absolutely correct. Type of fuel, mixture strength, the type of load, these are all factors which are influencing the ignition timing. Piston material, no. So, only option C is correct. Alage, look at the next one. For which of the following engines Pironi brake is used to measure the brake power of low speed engines, variable speed engines, single cylinder engine, low power engine? Dear students, remember, Pironi brake test is used for variable speed engines. Option B is absolutely correct. Alage, so with this IC engines completed, now let us take the refrigeration and air conditioning part. The significant advantage of using ammonia as a refrigerant is ammonia is having large amount of latent heat of vaporization, therefore refrigeration capacity increases if I use the ammonia as refrigerant. So, high latent heat is absolutely correct. Okay. Similarly, look at the next one. Replacing a water cooled condenser with an air cooled condenser, one in a vapor compression refrigeration with constant evaporator pressure. అంటే కాన్స్టెంట్ ఎవాపరేటర్ ప్రెజర్ దగ్గర వాటర్ కూల్డ్ కండెన్సర్ని ఎయిర్ కూల్డ్ కండెన్సర్స్తో రిప్లేస్ చేస్తే ఏమవుతుంది? ఎయిర్ ఈజ్ హ్యావింగ్ లెస్ హీట్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ కెపాసిటీ, దేర్ ఫోర్ డెఫినెట్లీ ద కండెన్సర్ టెంపరేచర్ ఇంక్రీజెస్. సో ఇంక్రీజ్ ఇన్ కండెన్సర్ ప్రెషర్, నో. డిక్రీజ్ ఇన్ నో. ఇంక్రీజ్ ఇన్ ప్రెషర్ రేషియో, నో. ఇంక్రీజ్ ఇన్ condensation temperature. because of the low heat transfer capacity of the gas. When I replace the water cooled condenser by air cooled condenser, the condensation temperature increase. D is correct. Alage, look at the next one. In an ideal vapor compression refrigeration cycle, the enthalpy of the refrigerant before and after evaporator are respectively 75 kilojoules per kg and 180 kilojoules per kg. And enthalpy after evaporation 180 ఇచ్చాడు, enthalpy before evaporation 75 kilojoules per kilogram ఇచ్చాడు. The circulation rate of the refrigerant for each ton of refrigeration, అంటే 1 ton refrigeration effect ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేయాలంటే ఎంత మాస్ ఆఫ్ refrigerant కావాలన్నాడు. Here mass of the refrigerant multiplied by refrigeration effect per kilogram of material must be equal to capacity. Here capacity is given 1 ton. 1 ton refrigeration effect equal to 210 kilojoules per minute approximately. So mass flow rate of the refrigerant into refrigeration effect per kg is nothing but increase in enthalpy of the refrigerant during the evaporation, that is 180 minus 75. So mass flow rate of the refrigerant equal to 210 dividing by 180 dividing by 180 minus 75, 105, approximately 2 kilograms per minute. This much amount of refrigerant to be circulated for developing the 1 ton of refrigeration effect. Look at the option B. Option B is absolutely correct. Okay. Alage, look at the next one. The effective temperature is a measure of the combined effect of the effective temperature is decided by dry bulb temperature, relative humidity and air motion and also purity of the air. Option D is absolutely correct. Similarly, look at the next one. Consider the following statements related to all air conditioning systems. All air systems uses air as heating or cooling fluid. Yes, all air refrigeration system means, today all flights are cooled by air refrigeration system. For the flight cabin cooling, air is used for heating and cooling. Air is used as a fluid for heating and cooling. The first statement is absolutely correct. When hot air circulated through the rooms, dehumidification is necessary to control the relative humidity. No, the humidification or dehumidification, that is depending on the season. In summer season, cooling and dehumidification is required, whereas in the winter season, heating and humidification required. The second statement is absolutely wrong. Look at the third one. Return air ducts are required for recirculation. Definitely the ducts are required for recirculation and for sending the fresh air to the room. The first statement and third statements are absolutely correct. Look at the option C. Option C is correct. Alage, so with this RIC part also completed. Next, thermodynamics faculty will take the part. Okay.
Good evening everyone, I am NP Raju. I am going to discuss thermodynamic solutions. Let us see first question, which of the following statement is incorrect? They are asking incorrect statement. First option, the greater the pressure difference in throttling, lesser the irreversibility, it is given. First of all, what is throttling process? Throttling process used for decreasing pressure. So, due to decrease in pressure, temperature decreases. So, that is the reason in refrigeration and air conditioning applications throttling valve is used. That is the main purpose. In throttling, pressure drop takes place, always pressure drop takes place, right. So, he said lesser is irreversibility, and by the way throttling process is irreversible process. Throttling is irreversible, and in irreversible process always there will be irreversibility. Straight away throttling process is accompanied by irreversibility, because throttling process itself it is irreversible process because of fluid molecule friction, because fluid molecules will come in contact each other. So, because of the fluid molecule friction there is irreversibility. So, therefore, here he said lesser irreversibility. No, throttling is always irreversible. In irreversible process always there is increase in entropy. Whenever there is increase in entropy it leads to irreversibility. Irreversibility increases. Irreversibility increases. So, he said lesser irreversibility. He said lesser irreversibility. This is actually option statement is incorrect statement. This is incorrect statement. Let us see option B. The primary source of internal irreversibility in power plant is used fluid friction in rotary machine. Rotary machine means it may be a gas turbine power plant or it may be a steam turbine power plant. In the rotary machines, because of the fluid friction, when steam enters, because of fluid molecule friction, steam friction, and between blades, turbine blades and fluid molecule friction, there is internal irreversibility. So, the internal irreversibility in power plant is due to fluid molecule friction. This statement is correct. Next option C, the greater the irreversibility, the higher the loss of energy. Irreversibility represents loss of energy. Irreversibility represents loss of energy. Option C is correct statement only. Option D, the entropy of the universe is continually on the increase. Yes, this is correct because of second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics states that entropy of universe always increases. So, therefore, entropy of the universe is continually on the increase, that is correct according to second law of thermodynamics. So, option B, C, D they are correct, but actually option A is incorrect. So, they are asking incorrect statement, therefore, for this problem answer is option A. Let us go to the next problem. Heat engine is given, it is a numerical problem. Let us draw a rough diagram. Heat engine receives 1/4 of its heat supply at 1000 Kelvin. Let us say this is 1000 Kelvin and remaining at 500 Kelvin, while rejecting heat to sink at 300 Kelvin. Sink is at 300 Kelvin. So, he is asking maximum thermal efficiency. Maximum thermal efficiency, efficiency maximum to be calculated. So, here let us say heat supplied. Here please observe there are two heat supplies. This is heat supply 1 from 1000 Kelvin reservoir and this is also heat supply from 500 Kelvin reservoir. There are two heat supplies and this is heat rejection. Let us say this is heat rejection. Let us say this is Q3 and this is Q1, Q2, this is Q2. Q1 is heat supplied from 1000 Kelvin, Q2 is heat supplied from 500 Kelvin. There are two heat supplies. Total heat supply let us say Q, which is equal to Q1 plus Q2, and heat rejection, this is heat supply, heat rejection is Q3, right. So, he said maximum thermal efficiency. For maximum thermal efficiency, heat engine should operate on reversible manner. It should be reversible cycle. For reversible cycle, from Cauchy's inequality, cyclic integral Q by T should be equal to 0 for a reversible heat engine. from Clausius inequality, this is the condition. Let us apply this equation. Here Q1 upon T1, directly I am substituting values, otherwise let us write one more step. Q1 by T1, its Q1 is plus positive because it is heat supply, Q1 positive heat supply, and Q2 also heat supply. This is also heat supply positive, Q2 by T2, and Q3 is heat rejection, it is negative, minus Q3 by T3 temperature should be equal to 0. Let us substitute. What is Q1? He said 1/4 of heat is supplied at 1000 Kelvin. So Q1 is 1/4 of heat supply, 1/4 of heat supply. Actually heat supply is Q, 1/4 of heat supply, and Q2 is remaining heat supply. He said remaining at 500 Kelvin, remaining means it will be 3/4. Q1, what is Q1? 1/4 of total heat supply upon temperature 1000 plus Q2, 3/4 of total heat supply. Q2 is 3/4 of total heat supply. Q2 which is equal to 3/4 of total heat supply. 3/4 total heat supply minus Q3 is by Q3 by T3. T3 is 300 Kelvin. We substituted everything here. So upon simplifying this equation, Q3 is going to be Q3. You can simplify it. It is going to be Q3 is going to be 21 Q by 40. Q is total heat supply. Q3 is heat rejection. So efficiency of heat engine. Efficiency, maximum efficiency, he said. So efficiency of heat engine 1 minus heat rejection by heat supply. Let us substitute values. 1 minus heat rejection. What is heat rejection? Heat rejection is, this is Q3 is nothing but heat rejection, which is equal to 21 Q by 40 by heat supply. Heat supply is Q, that is total heat supply. Heat supply is total heat supply, that is Q. Q is Q1 plus Q2. Q is Q1 plus Q2. 1 minus 21 Q by 40. Directly we can write, this is total heat supply, directly we can write it as Q. Total heat supply, directly we can write it as Q. So here Q is cancelled out. Q is cancelled out. So this is going to be roughly 1 minus, this is 21 upon 40. So roughly it is 0.5, roughly I am saying roughly. So this is 0.5, roughly it is 50%. Efficiency of heat engine is roughly 50%. So let us check the options. From the options it is 21%, 37%, 40 and 47%. So from the options actually roughly we got 50, from the options answer is option D. Let us go to the next problem. Assigning the basic dimension to mass, length, time and temperature respectively, mass, length, time and temperature theta, what are the dimensions of entropy? Dimensions of entropy. Generally entropy denoted by S expressed in joule per Kelvin. I said generally, it may be joule per Kelvin or it may be kilojoule per Kelvin. Generally it is joule per Kelvin. What is joule? Joule is Newton meter by Kelvin. What is Newton? Newton is kg meter per second square. Kg meter per second square into meter by Kelvin. So kg is mass, meter is length, this is also length, length into length it is L square by second square by Kelvin. So which is equal to m L square, 1 by S square is S power minus 2 that is time, S is second, that is time. Kelvin is temperature, that is theta. Kelvin is temperature, that is theta. It is 1 by Kelvin, so therefore it is theta power minus 1. M square L square T power minus 2 theta minus 1. Option C, M L square T power minus 2 theta power minus 1. So for this problem answer is option C. Next question, isentropic flow is option A, irreversible adiabatic flow, reversible adiabatic flow, something like this. See, isentropic flow in a reversible process, see actually ds is equal to q by t for a reversible process. If adiabatic process heat transfer 0, so ds is equal to 0, reversible and adiabatic. Please observe, reversible and adiabatic, ds is 0, entropy is constant. Entropy is constant, that is isentropic. Entropy constant, isentropic. So reversible adiabatic is isentropic. Reversible and also adiabatic is isentropic. First option is at irreversible, that is wrong. Second, reversible adiabatic flow, that is correct. Option C, ideal fluid flow. What is ideal fluid flow? Frictionless flow. Ideal fluid flow is nothing but frictionless, but it should be adiabatic also. Reversible, without friction it is reversible, it should be adiabatic also, but simply is at ideal, that is wrong. Option D, frictionless irreversible flow. Again frictionless reversible flow he said. Frictionless reversible means again it is theoretical flow, that is ideal flow without friction, but there should not be friction and it should be adiabatic, then only it will be isentropic. Therefore, for this is also wrong. Therefore, for this question answer is option B. Next, thermoelectric engine consists dissimilar electric conductors connected at two junctions. So this is actually based on Seebeck effect. Seebeck effect. What is Seebeck effect? According to Seebeck effect, whenever two dissimilar materials are joined, it forms a junction, and this junction is maintained at two different temperatures. Whenever two junctions are maintained at two different temperatures, electricity is produced, and this electricity, let us say this is T1, one is at low temperature, another is at high temperature. So due to temperature difference, electricity is produced. So this due to temperature, that is heat transfer. Due to heat transfer, electricity is produced. Let us see options. First option, electric energy is converted into heat energy, that is wrong, because it is heat into electric energy. Heat energy is converted into electric energy, this is correct. Mechanical work into electrical, wrong. Electric energy into mechanical, that is also wrong. Based on Seebeck effect, answer is option B. Next, entropy of universe tends to, according to second law of thermodynamics, entropy of universe always increases. Entropy of universe, which is equal to entropy of the system plus entropy of the surroundings, which is greater than or equal to 0. 0 is theoretical case, reversible process, change of entropy of universe is 0, that is a theoretical hypothetical situation, but actually change entropy of universe always increases. It is always increases, greater than 0, it always increases. It is accompanied by entropy increase. Entropy universe should increase according to second law of thermodynamics. So he said becomes 0, that is wrong. Remain constant, that is also wrong. Maximum, and option D, attain a certain finite minimum, he said no, it is maximum. It increases according to second law, entropy of universe always increases and it becomes maximum at a particular situation. Therefore, answer is option B. So that's all about thermodynamic question. Next remaining questions will be taken over by our faculty, next faculty.
on fluid mechanics. The first question is, a liquid undergoing rigid body rotation in a container is said to have. Rigid body rotation is a case of forced vortex motion. There is no need to discuss why others are wrong. Next question, three pipes are connected in series. Then, now series connection, you are supposed to remember the discharge is constant and the net head loss is a summation of all the head losses. Look at the options now. The first option is the head loss in each pipe is same, wrong. The total discharge is a sum of discharge in all the pipes, again wrong. The discharge through each pipe is same, that is correct. This is by continuity equation. Option C over here is correct. Once you have got the correct answer, don't bother waiting for other options. It's a waste of time. Moving further. Consider a pipe that branches out into two parallel pipes and rejoins into a junction downstream. The two parallel pipes are the same length and friction factors. Now parallel pipes is saying, parallel pipes the criteria is discharge net is a summation of all the discharges and the value of head loss is going to be constant for all the pipes. Now he says if the head loss in one pipe is 0.5, the head loss in the other pipe is equal to how much? Again, no need to draw diagrams for these things, it's a waste of time. Answer over here is 0.5 meter. Moving further, pseudoplastic substances are. Pseudoplastic substances are shear thinning substances. What happens in shear thinning substances? As tau increases, the apparent viscosity decreases. Look for the option corresponding to this thing. Option A says dynamic viscosity decreases with time. Time is not a criteria at all. Next, dynamic viscosity increases time. Again, time is not a criteria. Dynamic viscosity decreases as the rate of shear increases. Tau increase, dynamic viscosity decrease. Option C is correct over here. Don't bother reading the next option. Moving further. Match list 1 with list 2. Now whenever it comes to match the following questions, the moment you have got elimination technique, that is the best way to answer these questions. For example, viscous sublayers. I know viscous sublayer or laminar sublayer is a very thin layer having a linear velocity profile. So P goes for linear. Now the moment I have got this thing, I have to eliminate the options. C and D cannot be the correct answers. Next, overlap region. Now overlap region is a sort of a confusing region, so don't go for that straight away. Laminar flow through pipes. We know laminar flow through pipes will have a parabolic velocity profile. So R goes for 1. Both of them are giving 1 over here. Now laminar boundary layer is having Blasius velocity profile, which is a very difficult equation. So the best answer for this is no specific equation. So now the overlap goes for 2. So according to this thing, the answer is option A over here. Next thing. Friction factor F in a laminar pipe is found to be 0.04. Reynolds number is equal to how much? Now I don't need to explain you what is Reynolds number, how it has appeared and all those things. Straight away use the formula. You see, friction factor we know F is equal to how much? F is equal to 64 by Re. From here the value of Re comes out to be equal to how much? 64 divided by F. Now if you divide 64 by 0.04, the answer should come out to be 1600. So option D is correct. No units please. Moving further, total pressure on top of a closed cylindrical vessel completely filled with liquid is directly proportional to how much? Now this might be confusing to some of you. Here he has not given any rotation. If rotation is given, then the answer should be square of radius. So right now I am expecting that this condition is in static state. If it is in static state, that time the pressure is equal to 0, therefore it is not proportional to any amount of radius. So the option over here that is correct is option D. Option D would be correct since it is in static condition. Moving further, a jet of water issues from a nozzle with a velocity of 20 meter per second on a flat plate, moving away from it at 10 meter per second. So this over here is V and this over here is U according to our terminology. The cross section area is 0.01 meter square, density is 1000 kg per meter cube. Force developed is equal to how much? Unfortunately, the correct option was not given for this particular question. Let us find out the answer. Force is equal to rho into A into V minus U whole square. Rho is equal to 1000. Area is equal to 0.01 according to question. V minus U whole square. V minus U over here is equal to 10. So square is equal to 100. 100 and 0.01 cancels off. So the answer is supposed to be equal to 1000 Newton. 1000 Newton would be the correct answer. Unfortunately, that option is not present over here. Probably they have taken 2000 as correct answer, but that is valid provided we are not having a single plate, we are having a series of plate mounted on a rotating wheel. But the correct answer over here should be 1000. So these were the questions from the subject of fluid mechanics. Thank you and all the best.
questions discuss చేద్దాం. So the first question, if the temperature of a solid surface changes from 300 Kelvin to 900 Kelvin, then its emissive power will increases in the ratio of. So emissive power is given by the formula sigma into T power 4. So where sigma is Stefan-Boltzmann constant. So Stefan-Boltzmann constant value is 5.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 8. Okay, so this is sigma value. Okay, temperature is changing from 300 Kelvin to 900 Kelvin. Then he is asking us what will be the increase in the ratio of emissive power. So therefore what you can do is E2 by E1 you can write. So E2 by E1 is equal to sigma into T2 power 4 by sigma into T1 power 4. These two will get cancelled. T2 by T1 whole power 4 you can write. So T2 value, T2 you can take it as 900 Kelvin, the increase in the temperature, and T1 is 300 Kelvin. So 900 by 300 whole power 4. So this will be 3 power 4 which is equal to 81. Okay, option D will be correct for this particular question. Now let us see the next question. Fraction of radiative energy leaving one surface that strikes the other surface is called. See, మనకి ఒక సర్ఫేస్ ఉంది, ఆ సర్ఫేస్ నుంచి కొంత అమౌంట్ ఆఫ్ రేడియేషన్ అనేది లీవ్ అవుతుంది, అది అదర్ సర్ఫేస్కి టచ్ అవుతుంది, కొన్నిసార్లు సేమ్ సర్ఫేస్కి కూడా టచ్ అవ్వచ్చు. సో దాన్ని మనం ఏమంటాము అంటే వ్యూ ఫ్యాక్టర్ ఆర్ షేప్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ అంటాం. సో వ్యూ ఫ్యాక్టర్ ఆర్ షేప్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ ఆప్షన్ సి విల్ బి కరెక్ట్. ఇది బేసిక్ డెఫినేషన్ స్టూడెంట్స్, జాగ్రత్తగా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. నెక్స్ట్, ఏ క్రాస్ ఫ్లో టైప్ ఎయిర్ హీటర్ హ్యాస్ అన్ ఏరియా ఆఫ్ 25 meter square. Area 25 meter square, the overall heat transfer coefficient. So U 50 watt per meter square Kelvin ఇచ్చాడు. Then heat capacity of the steam, be it hot or cold, is 500 watt per Kelvin. Heat capacity, so you can write it as C minimum. This is the heat capacity. Then heat capacity means mass into specific heat of the fluid. So that is called heat capacity. ఇక్కడ ఎంత ఇచ్చారు అంటే 500 watt per Kelvin. The NTU, number of transfer units, direct formula of NTU యూజ్ చేయొచ్చు. NTU is equal to UA by C minimum. So U value వచ్చేసి 50, area 25 meter square by C minimum is 500. So once, and this is 10 times, you will get 2.5 as the value of NTU. So option A will be correct for this question. So these are the questions from heat transfer, dear students. Next topic will be continued by the other faculty.
Hello everyone, next subject we have is theory of machines and vibrations. Let us start with the question number 1. Consider the following statement on increasing center distance in the involute gears. So once we increase the center distance, option A says that arc of contact decreases, option B says that contact ratio is constant, and option C says that pressure angle increases. So here, as per the question, option A
that is statement 1 is correct answer, that is arc of contact is going to increase, and pressure angle, if you notice, radius of the base circle is going to be constant. So radius of base circle is dependent on two parameters that can be written as r times of cos phi. So if we increase the pressure angle, if we increase the r value, the value of r as it increases, then the cos phi should decrease, which means phi has to increase. So once we increase the pressure ratio, the pressure angle as well as the arc of contact, pressure angle increases and arc of contact decreases. So as per this, option B will be the answer. Next question. A shaft is carrying a rotor at the midspan and supported by the long bearings. It is found to have critical speed of 1400 rpm. So critical speed when the shaft is supported in the long bearings is 1400. And now then the bearings are replaced by the short bearings. So once the bearings are replaced by the short bearings, which means the long bearings means it can be modeled as a fixed beam. When the shaft is supported in the long bearings, it can be modeled as a fixed beam, and when it is supported in the short bearings, it can be modeled as a simply supported beam. So now when you compare the stiffnesses of these two, let's say that as you can assume the rotor right at the middle only. So this is a standard situation, directly you can assume, no need to, I mean even if this is not mentioned in the question, not a problem. So stiffness of this was given as 192 times of EI, or if we calculate the deflection formula for this, deflection formula, that is delta will be equal to WL cube by 192 EI. And whereas for simply supported, you know the formula, that is WL cube by 48 EI. So once you see the so the deflection of simply supported will be more, all right. And now this critical speed formula is given by, that is omega critical is equal to, that is G by delta it is. So here delta is getting reduced, or delta is getting increased by 4 times. So definitely the stiffness will be increased by or decreased by 2 times. Stiffness will be decreased by 4 times. So the critical speed will be 700 rpm guys. If we and within the root we have to keep it. So this is delta is increased by 4 times, okay, for the fixed beam. When we are switching from fixed to simply supported, delta is increased by the 4 times. So the omega critical will be reduced to half if we take the under root. So option B will be the answer for this question. Next question, the primary of the principle of direct and reverse crank is radially applicable to. So the principle of the direct crank and reverse crank is meant for the unbalanced force, primary unbalance or secondary unbalance. So here it says that primary unbalance, which is primary balance, which is wrong, secondary balance, which is also technically wrong, balancing of inline engines, no guys, this is direct and reverse crank method is used for the radial engines. So option C is also out of the context. Partial balancing or partial primary force, partial primary balance it is. So if it is partial primary balance or secondary or partial secondary balance, for those two it is the correct answer. So direct and reverse crank method are applicable only for calculating the unbalanced primary and secondary forces, or partial primary balance or partial secondary balance. Alright, so option D will be the answer. Next, the natural frequency of free transfer vibration acting over a simply supported shaft is equal to dash, when where delta states the deflection of the simply supported beam due to the point load. So here we have the standard formula for this, that is omega is equal to root over G by delta, root over G by delta, or this omega can be expressed in terms of even in the cycles per second, that is Fn is equal to omega by 2 pi, or this is root over G divided by 2 pi into 1 by root delta. So once we solve for root over G by 2 pi, we will be getting the answer as 0.4985. So option B is the answer. This is an empirical relation, you can remember this value. Okay, so root over G by 2 times of pi will give us 0.4985. Option B is the answer. Okay, next one. Consider the 3 rigid bodies in relative motion to each other. The 3 instantaneous center of motion would be lie on dash. So this is a straightforward statement from the Kennedy's theorem. Kennedy's theorem states that if the three bodies are so connected that they transmit the relative motion, then they should be, then their eye center should be collinear, or it should lie on the straight line. Option B is the answer, guys. Next question. A spring mass damped system has a natural frequency of 20 radians per second. Omega is given as 20 radians per second, and damping ratio is given as zeta is given as 0.5. Which of the following equation is representing the system? So guys, here the standard equation is given to us, that is x double dot plus 2 times of zeta omega n into x dot plus omega n square times of x is equal to 0. This is a second order differential equation describing about the damped vibration, or I should say free damped vibration. So now let us substitute the values. This will be 2 times of zeta, zeta is 0.5, omega n is 20 into x dot plus omega n square is 20 square into x is equal to 0. So this would be x double dot plus 2 into 0.5 is that is 1, that is x double dot plus 20 times of x dot plus 400 it has to be. So here option B is the answer, and instead this should be x single dot, guys. This should be x single dot, because this is the second order term, this will be first order term, and this will be 0 order differential term. So option B is the answer. Next one, the two spur gears of 20-degree full depth involute system are transmitting motion with a gear ratio of 2. Gear ratio is given as 2, that is speed of pinion divided by speed of gear, or we can write radius of gear divided by radius of pinion. Okay, the ratio of base circle radius of gears would be dash, the ratio of base circle radius. So now guys, they are talking about base circle radius of the gears, that is radius of base circle radius. The base circle radius formula is given by, that is pitch circle radius of gear into cos phi divided by pitch circle radius of pinion into cos phi. Cos phi and cos phi will get cancelled anyhow, so directly we can take up the ratio. So now this is radius of this gear ratio is given as 2. So when we need to express this in terms of radius of pinion by radius of gear. So the answer will be 0.5. So option A is the answer for this. Okay, so they have clearly not specified which type of we have to take pinion with respect to gear or gear with respect to pinion. So if it had been 2, then both the answers would be correct. So option A is only the probable answer here, although they have missed some keywords, but still with the correct value only you will be able to identify the answer. Okay, either it could be 2 or 0.5. So option A is the answer. Next one, in a pair of gear under mesh, the angular velocity of pinion and gear is, yes, angular velocity of pinion is given as 70 radians per second, and for the gear velocity is 30 radians per second. All right, and if for the arc of contact and the distance between the pitch point and the point of contact is 30 mm, then what is the velocity of sliding? Sliding velocity they are asking, they have given the information about the information between pitch point and the point of contact, which means that this they are describing about the path of engagement. Okay, so this is 30, and sliding velocity can be written as path of engagement, that is path of approach into omega of pinion plus omega of gear. So now this is given as 30 mm, 30 into 70 plus 30. So this will be 100, 100 into 30 is 3000. 3000 means if we divide by that by 100, or if we divide that by 1000, we get 3 meters per second. So option C is the answer. So this will give us in mm per second, guys. This will give us in mm per second, and if we divide that by 1000, we get it as 3 meters per second. All right, let's see the next question. When the sleeve of the Porter governor moves upward, the governor speed, yes, when the sleeve is moving upwards, when the sleeve of the Porter governor, if it is moving upwards, which means that due to the increase in centrifugal force, the sleeve is going to move upwards. So here the speed is going to increase. The speed is going to increase, and once the sleeve move upwards, we need to cut the throttle valve supply, okay, so that the IC engine or the prime mover operates at the mean speed or very near to mean speed. So speed is going to increase definitely, and that is nothing but the centrifugal force will be responsible for pulling the sleeve upwards, okay. So that's all we have the questions from theory of machines. All the best for your exams.